MMA's back. We got UFC Fight Night, Smith versus Spann. We had last week off, really dove into some football, but we're excited to get some MMA back. We got a full weekend of fun here.
Yeah, I feel like it's been forever since we've had an MMA card, and even though it's only been 1 week, we were spoiled. We had some lineups. I don't know how many straight weeks we had MMA. So
yeah,
had a week off, opening week football, like Corey said, but we're excited to get back into it. You know, we got a decent card here. It's not necessarily the star-studded name card that you would normally think. There's some quality scraps, and there's also just a lot of fights. There's a lot of MMA we're going to get on Saturday. How many fights we got? 15?
They cut down to 14 with the Moda Van Camp fight getting called off. But 14 fights, monster card of a lot of young prospects. So, I mean, look, yeah, you might not have that name recognition that you're looking for, but trust me, there's some guys on here that are going to put on a show for you.
Yeah, and I feel like it's a very perfect combination of you either got coin flip fights or you got a huge favorite. So what does that normally mean? Normally that delivers. It means you got fight of the night style wars, and you got some great finishes from the big favorite. So excited for how this card will play out. Per usually, we're going to give our fight breakdown, give some DraftKings advice, and then see if we have any bets for that fight. So,
all right, let's get started. First fight of the night, we've got Whitmire versus Hannah Goldie.
Not the best fight on the card. We're going to be honest. It's
a 50-50 fight. I mean, I think the line's got it about minus 125 on Whitmire. Goldie's about plus 105.
Yep.
Goldie didn't have a good showing last fight. She got picked apart at distance from Belbita. And her best bet in this fight is to kind of implement a higher grappling approach and really try and take Whitmire down to the ground. Because I think if this stands again, Emily Whitmire's got hands and she brings firepower in the first round. She likes to get finishes, and Hannah might be in trouble if this doesn't get wrapped up.
Yeah, Whitmire is coming off, she's had some bad losses as well, but it's just her quality of competition in her losses is very high. It's nothing to shake your head at. She lost to two amazing grapplers in Ribas and Viana, I believe it was. And they were one-sided losses, but it was, grappling heavy people that took her down and made quick work of her. But generally, I've just been so unimpressed by Goldie that I think Goldie's obviously a physically strong bully type of appearance, but I just think Whitmire is the scrappier fighter, the better fighter. Again, I'm not super excited for this fight. Don't have a super lean on it. I don't think they, just to be completely honest, I don't think either of them have the brightest futures in the UFC. We're not talking about contenders. We're not talking about championship anything. My pick is Whitmire. Personally, I'm not on it for DraftKings, and I'm not confident enough in a bet. Let's talk DraftKings. Let's see where they're at. We have 8,500 for Whitmire, 7,700 for Goldie.
Goldie in a win is a decision win. I wouldn't play her either way. Whitmire's interesting at 8,500 because she does have round one KO potential.
Ability, yes.
Not putting in her a lot of lineups, but she's definitely a flyer to get that round one finish in a fight she should physically dominate on the feet. So
yeah, she's playable, but she's not like necessarily a bargain. She's 8,500. Not even positive she's going to win the fight, even though she's our pick. It's a close fight still.
50-50 fight. I would have liked to have seen her at like 8,000,
yeah, exactly.
8,200. Would have been a little more reasonable. But look, she is live to get an early finish, and she could end up optimal, but I won't be playing too much of her tomorrow.
Got it. All right. Next one, we got Gustavo Lopez versus Altanang Halai. And we got a small favorite for Altanang at minus 130. Lopez is coming in at plus 110. And then let's see, DraftKings, pretty similar to the last fight. We have 8,400, and Lopez comes in at 7,800. What are your thoughts on this one, Corey?
Similar fighters, similar style. I will say, like, the biggest thing that stood out to me on tape is Lopez just doesn't throw enough volume.
Yep.
He's slow getting going. He doesn't throw long combinations. And straight up, I think Alatong's just got a more technical striking approach here. I got him just picking them apart, and I think these guys' wrestling and grappling will cancel each other out. So I see this fight just staying standing, and I think Alatang's going to pick him apart. I got Alatang by decision here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I do think it's close. I think it could go either way. I think Lopez has paths to victory in this fight, but ultimately I'm with you. I think Alatang's going to be the busier guy standing, and I like him by decision. What do you think? DraftKings, I'm personally not huge on this fight as well, even though I think it's going to be an entertaining scrap. I don't necessarily think there's going to be a finish. Again, I'm not positive on the outcome. I don't love Alatang as my for sure thing. I'll play a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be a huge play for me as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a hard time fitting him in at that price point because, again, one with these refs, like, I don't like to play an expensive decision fighter. If I think there's going to be a decision and I'm playing, it's probably because the guy's $7,000. 8,400, he's going to throw some volume. There's not going to be too many takedowns. I just don't see that many points being scored. I can see the winner here scoring 70.
Yep.
At 8,400, I just don't see him making value. So, yeah, I'm pretty much fading this fight all over.
All right, let's move on to the next fight.
This one's a great fight.
Great fight. We got Carlston Harris versus Impa. And Impa basically opened at about minus 180, and this fight is down right now to about a coin flip. Impa's a slight favorite at minus 120. Harris is at plus 100. So very close to a coin flip fight. This is one of those when I first kind of heard this fight was announced, I was big on Impa, and I've been big on Impa in his career. Obviously, he has the viral knockout where he got knocked out by Buckley, but even that, I didn't read too much into that. I still thought Impa as a prospect was great. Powerful striker, technical striker. Showed us something a little bit different. Showed his grappling in the last fight. When it was getting a little sketchy on the feet, he was able to dominate the grappling, get a sub. So I really liked that his game was evolving. I felt like I was going to like Impa. Watched some Harris prior, and I liked the guy, but when I rewatched Harris, he impressed me quite a bit more than I remembered. And the guy has a unique style. He's a very legit grappler, very live for getting a submission here, and he is an unorthodox striker that I feel like is surprisingly not completely out of the element standing. At first, I thought can't get to the ground, Impa's going to light him up. Still think that's a very big possibility, but he's got a weird style and he's got power that I think he might be able to close the distance and initiate more grappling. So I think after much back and forth, I think I'm going Harris as just a little bit more of a veteran of the sport, unique style. I think he's going to either eke out a decision here, possibly get a sub early.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely one of the best fights on the card, and I'm still leaning Impa. I think he's doing good work down there at Sanford MMA, and you want to talk about guys to spar with every day. That's I love the stuff they're bringing out there, and I think he can keep this fight on the feet, and I think he can outstrike him. DraftKings though is tough because I have Impa by decision. And he's going for...
Impa is all the way at 8,900. And right, Harris, you can get at 7,300 for a coin flip fight.
Yeah, exactly. So, look, Impa's hard to play, but, again, he could have, a great win here. Value, though, Harris is live for a sub here. Exactly. Or a knockout. I mean, the guy's got great power. He's awkward. He doesn't have the better technical striking.
Yep.
But he's got power in his hands, and he's a great jiu-jitsu practitioner. I mean, this guy is live for a sub against anybody in the division. At 7,300, I'm probably going to be playing more Harris than Impa, but straight pick 'em. I'm going Impa by decision, but yeah, DraftKings for you guys, if you're looking for a dog that's live for a lot of points, it's going to be Harris.
Yep. Agreed on that. Harris is, I'm probably going to be, 75-25 on Harris. I do like the fight in general on DraftKings. I also think Impa is capable of getting a finish with his striking, especially when Harris is going to bring the pressure, bring the fight to him. So great fight to be played on both sides. Obviously, you're overpaying a little bit for Epage considering the odds. Harris is a great deal.
All right, moving on. We've got Blanchfield versus Sarah Alpar. And we've got Erin Blanchfield here, I believe, is her first UFC fight. Lots of hype. Very young prospect. I think she's 22 years old. Versus Sarah Alpar, who just hasn't looked great. She's struggling to stay in this UFC rotation. And, I mean, personally, I think the UFC gave Blanchfield just a soft toss here to get her name out there.
I'm with you. And let's go on the odds real quick. Blanchfield's minus 350. We got Alpar at plus 280. So pretty sizable favorite here.
Yeah.
Like Corey said, Blanchfield definitely has more hype coming into this. I think this one's pretty straightforward for me. I think
she's got the more well-rounded game. Let's get into their fighting style. Sarah Alpar, maybe a year ago, I would say, might have had a striking advantage over Blanchfield. But Blanchfield's just grown so much on her feet. If this goes to wrestling or grappling, has the advantage. I don't see the path to victory for Alpar here. She doesn't have enough power to put her away. This should be quick, easy work for Blanchfield. And like I said, I think UFC set her up here to kind of really build her name here in her first fight.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of, Blanchfield's 22 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Is there some sort of UFC jitter, stage fright, doesn't make her perform well? Otherwise, this is pretty straightforward to me. Blanchfield's a prospect. She seems to be better everywhere.
Yeah.
I think I like Blanchfield. I do probably like her to take a decision. I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility, but I think she's going to take a comfortable decision. DraftKings, you're paying for it, though. The fight is a 9,400 for Blanchfield, and Alpar comes in at 6,800. So if you disagree with us, think this is a closer fight on paper than it shows. Alpar's got value at 6,800. For me, I'm skipping the fight altogether. If I'm paying, I think Blanchfield's going to win and win pretty dominantly. But there's so many other people in that 9,000 and above that are way more live for finish, way more dominant, I feel like, in their performances. So mostly a pass. I don't think I'm going to be playing any Alpar at 6,800.
No, I'll be playing 0 Alpar. I'm going to sprinkle in some Blanchfield if I can afford her. But yeah, there's some other 9K fighters we'll get into later that are better values there. But look, I don't even like laying the minus 350 on her, but definitely be a parlay piece for us.
Exactly.
So, all right, moving on. Another good fight here. Montel Jackson versus JP Bays. And the line is extremely wide here, but JP Bays is kind of getting disrespected a little bit on the line. With that being said, though, I got Montel Jackson here knocking him out.
Me too.
He showed a really, susceptible chin against in his last fight. But, Montel Jackson, if he catches him with those punches, he should put him out. I don't like the line at all, though.
No, it's too heavy. I think it's a little wide. I think really Montel should be probably closer to a minus 400 range, and he's going up. He's minus 650. With that being said, still believe he gets the finish. I still like him to dominantly win this fight. I like him in DraftKings, even though you are paying for him. So DraftKings, we have a 9,500, and we get at 6,700, you can get JP buys. So definitely there's value there, but I'm going for Jackson. I think he gets the finish. I think he lives up to his value. For a bet, like we said, we don't agree with the line being that thick, so I don't even know if I'm going to put him as my parlay piece. I do like him, if you like him to win, to go inside the distance. So Jackson inside the distance you can get at minus 160. If you like him to actually get the KO or TKO as opposed to the sub, you can even get him at minus 110 and some sites plus 110. So a lot of value there. Personally, I feel more comfortable with inside the distance. It wouldn't shock me to see him get a sub after putting on a dominant performance. So inside the distance, a minus 160, minus 170 for me is the very good bet on the night.
Yeah, and that's a reasonable line. This guy, there's going to be a finish in this fight, and our money's on Montel Jackson here. So don't pay the minus 650. Go get a prop bet on this thing. And here we go back into the 9,000 fighters. I mean, just look at the difference in lines, and you're getting Montel Jackson a minus 650 at almost the same price as Aaron Blanchfield. It's a no-brainer. So, yeah, look, I'm playing a lot of Montel Jackson. I'll have one JP Bays just in case something crazy happens.
Yep.
He is a good fighter,
Yeah,
but this is a tough fight for him.
I'll put in a couple bays. Like we said, we do think the line's too thick, and again, 6,700. You do whatever you want on DraftKings, but yes, mostly I'm going to get Jackson, and I might even, you're not going to necessarily be able to fit Jackson in every lineup.
Mm-hmm.
I might have to skip it a few times, even though I'd like this fight to get a finish. It's just one of those weirdly priced fights where you really got to go all in on this fight, either as your big underdog or as your big favorite. It's going to limit you in other aspects.
Yeah. So the next fight coming up, and this one is a must-play on DraftKings. Good fight. We've got Wrong versus Brandon Jenkins.
Yep.
And Jenkins took this fight very short notice. It was supposed to be Dakota Bush.
Yep.
And Jenkins is stepping in here short notice. So if you don't know Brandon Jenkins, he won a fight a couple weeks ago at the PFL scene.
Yep.
An amazing flying knee knockout of Jacob Kilburn, UFC, X.
Yeah.
Jacob Kilburn. Good fight. I mean, this guy is an explosive striker.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to say, they have these odds wrong. This is a toss-em fight. I think, right now we're looking at...
See, it's moving. So it's minus 300 to minus 305. You get Jenkins at plus 240 right now.
So look, it's a 50-50 fight. I'm not 100% confident Jenkins get this win, but you want to talk value. There's a lot of value on this guy right now. He can get this done. Zong, on the other hand, Wrong. Look, I wasn't impressed in his first fight.
No.
This guy was caught staring at his corner in the middle of the fight, looking for directions. He's young. He wanted to showboat and just didn't have anything behind it. He has some power in his hands, and I see his path to victory here, but I think he's got himself a firefight on his hands. And because of the late switch, both of these fighters are cheap on DraftKings.
Exactly. So very unique fight in that you can get Jenkins at $6,700. One of the cheapest guys on draft. You pretty much do whatever you want with your lineup if you play him. And even Wrong, you can get at $7,600. So it's a must play, like you said. First off, I like the fight to play out, action packed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm picking Jenkins as well. I think it's a 50-50 fight. I think the odds are wrong. I think Jenkins is just powerful, has a lot of momentum with coming in with them. Obviously, short notice is not ideal, but I think Jenkins has the skills to win this fight, and I'm picking him straight up. Not only am I recommending him hard on DraftKings, I'm recommending a straight play on him at plus 240.
Yeah.
Still is a close fight. It still is a 50-50 fight. Don't, bet your whole stack on that. But it is a great value bet when you can get someone in a 50-50 fight at plus 240. So I'm recommending a straight bet on Jenkins, and he is going to be in a lot of my lineups. But if you think Wrong is going to win, he's also a great play at 7,600. You're not playing a minus 8,000, minus 9,000 type of guy. So, either way must be played. I'm going to sprinkle in both. Jenkins might be one of my highest played pieces this week, though.
Yeah, and I also want to point out, the short notice, he may have cardio issues here. I think he's going to go for it because of that. He doesn't want to go into the third round. So another sneaky play here is fight doesn't go the distance.
Yeah.
If you want to cover on you don't know who's going to win,
let's get that.
Wrong has KO power in that backhand, and Jenkins is going to go for it. So
right now, fight doesn't go the distance. You can get it minus 175.
That's a great line for a fight where it's tough to pick the winner, and there's definitely value on Jenkins. But if you want to play it safe there, this fight's not going 15 minutes.
No. All right, let's move on to the next one.
All right, we got Kianzad versus Pennington. Another good fight here. Both fighters are, really trying to make a name for themselves here. And whoever wins this fight is going to have a nice little trajectory, and the other one is going to kind of struggle to find their footing at this point.
This is a unique fight when you look at, this is one where records can be deceiving. First off, let's talk odds here. Pennington's minus 130, Keen's odds plus 110 about. So when you look at, Pennington does not have a good record. She's 11-8. in her career. She's back and forth on wins. Keen's odds 15-5. I believe she's on a 4-fight win streak right now.
Yeah. Luckily.
Yeah, so you would think, though, the momentum's shifting one way. I just think it's a stylistic thing. I like Pennington in this match. I think the grappling is going to make the difference. I could see Keen's odd. If she can sprawl and brawl, there's absolutely a path to victory that she could win. But I think Pennington's gonna get a little bit more of an edge in the grappling, steal some rounds, steal some points. I like Pennington by decision.
Yeah, I got Pennington here too. I haven't been overly impressed with Kianzad even on this 4-fight win streak. I thought her last fight should have lost a decision.
Yeah.
There's levels to this. You could fight 4 fighters that shouldn't be there and win. Pennington, on the other hand, is fighting good competition. She's the more well-rounded fighter here.
Yep.
And I think she gets in the clinch and goes to work here. But I have her by decision. As far as DraftKings, I'm not real high on this fight. Yeah. I don't see a lot of action scoring-wise.
You got to pay for Pennington. You got 8,700 for Pennington, 7,500 coming back on the other side for Kianzad.
But not if you like Kianzad by decision, most likely you could maybe get value at 7,500 if you need it. But
that's my problem. Even in her path to victory for sprawl and brawl, if she wins, successfully pulls off the sprawl and brawl, she's scoring 75, 80 points. Yeah. She's not going to score in the hundreds or even in the 90s, I don't think.
Yeah, so I'm not betting this fight. It's a fade for me on DraftKings as well.
All right, on to the next one.
It's the final card on the prelims.
Big prelims.
So we've got Mike Rodriguez versus Tefan Chukwi.
Great fight. This is a great fight. The reason this is such a great fight is you got 2 guys that are going to come throw heavy hands, bigger guys, and we're all but certainly going to get a finish here, in my opinion. Rodriguez especially has not shown his potential, and I'm not saying he has potential to be even a contender or a champion, but he's had some rough matchups, and he's a guy who he's talented standing, and he's a fun fighter standing. Mm-hmm. When he's facing a grappler, he has some of the worst takedown defense I've ever seen in the UFC. And obviously we all have watched the Ed Herman fight and how ridiculous that fight collapsed on him. He won that fight twice, still got tapped. So tough guy to keep a hold on. I get why, a lot of people are not high on him or are not even paying attention to him. I think this is a great matchup for him. The odds are pretty even. It's a toss-up fight, -120 to +100. Rodriguez being the slight underdog at +100. And then you got, definitely a young fighter in Tefan Chukwi, 5-1. A lot of people felt like he got rushed into the UFC without a lot of experience, but he's done all right for himself. I do think his MMA game is growing. He's very basic. You can tell he's an athletic, strong, powerful guy that's a good fighter, but he's still learning in the octagon. For that reason, I think I'm going out on a limb. I think I like Rodriguez. I think this fight stays standing. I don't feel like there's a big takedown risk on either side. Straight standing, I think Rodriguez is going to be the faster fighter. Maybe not quite as much power, a little bit faster, and I think I'm going to take Rodriguez to get the finish. Wouldn't surprise me if he got a decision because of how tough and big Chukwi is, but I think I'm going to go with Rodriguez to get the finish by KO TKO. So betting-wise, I'm not necessarily going to play the bet. This is a toss-up fight. Mm-hmm. Anyone can land a punch and win this fight, and they're about even. The odds are probably correct. DraftKings, you got a big opportunity here because you can get Rodriguez at 7,400. So they have, drastically different in terms of the favorite. They have 8,800 for Chukwi and Rodriguez at 7,400. I see it as a coin flip fight, so I think there's great value in Rodriguez at 7,400, especially when you're almost guaranteed to have a high-action finish type of fight.
Yeah, this is a must-play on DraftKings either way. Look, this fight will not go 15 minutes, and there's 2 scenarios that play out here. Scenario 1 is this fight stays on the feet, and Mike Rodriguez absolutely dominates him.
Yep.
He is the better striker. Chukwi is patient. He's technical. He doesn't really push the pace. Rodriguez will knock him out if he stands on the feet with him.
Yeah.
Scenario 2 is Chukwueze learned that Rodriguez is Kevin Holland-esque in takedown defense.
Maybe even worse.
Might be worse. And if he grapples with him, he will ground and pound him and get the finish. If Rodriguez goes to his back, he has absolutely nothing off of his back. It just comes down to style. I know the narrative is Chukwueze going to take him down. That's not his style of fighting, and unless he's magically added that in his camp. I'm with you, man. I think Rodriguez by KO early.
Yeah.
This isn't going to, first round KO is very reasonable here. But you're getting the value on Rodriguez on DraftKings. Play it either way, though, however you're feeling.
Exactly. You got to play it. And I do want to say, especially if you're hearing us and then wanting to bet, there is risk here. We're talking about a guy that has massive gaps in talent and in the skill set. So there's always a risk when you're betting that. But from a value standpoint, it makes sense from DraftKings. All right, let's go to the next fight. We are now onto the main card. And, we got a good one starting off. We got Joaquin Buckley versus Antonio Arroyo. Good fight. Obviously, Buckley's hype kind of came to a stop. He was riding a big wave. And he got, head kicked, KO'd. By Chirico in his last fight, who then, in turn, got head kick KO'd himself. So, it definitely took a little luster out, and it was a great win over Impa that Buckley had, but it is a tough fight. So, Arroyo, very similar to Rodriguez, has a grappling deficiency. He can get taken down easy as possible, doesn't have a lot of defense off his back, has trouble getting back up, and that's the tail of the tape, basically. That's how he's lost. He's 0-2 in the UFC. His striking's not bad, though. It really isn't bad, and I'm having a little trouble with this fight. Buckley's a minus 200. Arroyo's about a plus 160. The odds are right to me. Buckley should be about a minus 200. From the vibe I've been getting when reading other people's analysis, seeing what's on the internet, people think this is Buckley's basically a minus 500. There's no way he's losing this fight. And I feel like you're still getting a little bit in on the hype of a great knockout. Buckley's a powerful striker. He's a thick guy. I think he could grapple. He's not a wrestler per se, but he has some grappling. He could absolutely win this fight, and I'm going to pick Buckley to win this fight. I just feel like this is a closer fight than people think, because I still think Buckley's correct home is probably at 170. He's short, probably a little more bulky than needs to be, and Antonio Arroyo is a huge guy for the division. He's long, he's tall, and he doesn't look any thicker or any skinnier for having the height and reach advantage. So he's a big guy. He could outstrike him. He really could. I think Buckley's going to mix it up enough. I think Buckley's going to really target the body, that I do have to lean Buckley because he has more ways to win. But I do think it's closer on paper, and I will be playing both sides on DraftKings, because on DraftKings, Buckley's a huge favorite at 9,300 and Arroyo is at 6,900. I'm going to be playing some Arroyo to mix it up, and I also think Buckley's a little bit too overpriced here. If I'm going to spend 9,000, 9,500, 9,800, I don't know. I could see Buckley winning a decision. I could see Buckley getting the finish, but it's not a guarantee to me. 9,300 is tough to pay there for Buckley, for me.
Yeah. So I'm going Buckley here. I think he gets the finish. I think he can get this fight to the ground and do some work on top. I will say the biggest weapon in Arroyo's arsenal needs to be that low leg kick.
Yep.
Even with his height advantage, he doesn't have the reach advantage over Buckley.
Yep.
And people think that you can't keep the distance if you don't have the reach, but that's not true, because when you have that kind of height advantage, your legs are so much longer than Buckley's.
Yep.
If he implements a strong low leg kick to start this fight, and you take some of that power out of Buckley's hands, Arroyo could absolutely win this fight. I'm not paying minus 200 for Buckley.
No.
I got a hard time paying up in the 9,000s for him on DraftKings, but I will say Buckley could absolutely end up on optimal.
Yeah, he could.
This could be a highlight reel knockout. But it's just hard to play.
I just think it's closer, especially than the DraftKings line. The fight is closer than that implies.
I think it's closer than the actual line implies.
Yes.
Minus 200 is a big price to pay when you're talking about a guy that he rode a wave. And we have to see how he responds to that big loss.
Yep.
Some people have come out and said this is the best thing that could have happened to him. He's not going to be headhunting anymore. Look, you get knocked out in the UFC after riding that kind of wave. I mean, we've seen it with, let's go McGregor. What happens and how do you respond to actually losing and realizing that you're beatable?
Yeah.
Again, and yeah, tough fight. I'm going to go Buckley here. I think he gets it to the ground and does his work there. But I definitely see Arroyo's path to victory here.
Yeah, there's just too big of a gap in the skill set of Arroyo to not go with the safer pick of Buckley. But, just back to Buckley, I feel like nobody even heard of Buckley till the knockout. But it's like, I remember the Kevin Holland fight. And now, Holland's a great striker. I'm not going to take anything away from Holland. But it was just, Buckley looked very human in that fight. He looked like a tough guy that was winging very stereotypical punches and wasn't the most technical striker. He was powerful, he was athletic, but Holland was clearly the more technical striker and destroyed him standing. Picked him apart, KO'd him in the third. It's just, I think there's a little bit too much hype in Buckley's striking. So I'm back and forth on this fight, but again, ultimately we are going Buckley. I'm kind of caving and not making the bold pick. I think Buckley's got more ways to win.
Yeah, but play Arroyo on DraftKings, get some in there.
All
Definitely
right.
got good value. All right, let's move on. And this is one of our favorite fights for betting and DraftKings. So we've got Manis versus Gravely. And this is just a style matchup. We got a guy that wants to stand there and strike at distance versus a guy that's going to absolutely take you to the ground with his wrestling.
Exactly. I love this fight. First off, I love Tony Gravely in general as a fighter. He's super fun to watch. He's one of the best wrestlers at 135. He is a machine in terms of his grappling and getting on top. He's relentless. He's active. Fun guy to watch. Very excited. I think Gravely runs away with this fight. Massive height advantage here. Gravely's comes in at 5'5", whereas Manis is at 5'10". What does that usually mean for a wrestler? Usually that's a good thing. Usually the taller guy's a taller, lankier guy, and they can have their ways, go for the legs, and take them down. That's how I see this fight go down. I don't think Manis will be able to stop the takedowns. Gravely has had some tiny cardio issues in the past. I feel like people are making a little bit of a bigger deal than I think it really is. But sure, he's shown weaknesses in the third. Some people like Manis, even people that think Gravely's going to get the takedowns going. I've seen people pick Manis for a third-round finish. Because of some of the gas tank issues, I personally don't see it. I think Gravely's going to cruise. His odds, he's a minus 210 to Manis' plus 175. I think it's a steal. I think Gravely, with the skill set differential, especially in grappling, I would have pictured him being a minus 300 or minus 350. So I'm recommending a straight bet. From a DraftKings perspective, you are paying for him, but I think the odds are correct. It's 9,200 to Manis' 7,000. But Gravely scores, man. He scores when he wins. He lost to Johns in his first fight. In a loss, he still scored 46. Just a high-paced, action-packed fight. In his 2 wins, he scored 110 and 138.
He gets the takedowns, he gets the control, and he's all activity.
Exactly.
And this gas tank issue we're talking about isn't, this guy has a gas. He expends so much energy
by beating people
up. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, if you think Manis can survive to the last second of the third round and land a KO at $7,000, I believe, play him all day long.
Yeah.
What's really going to happen in this fight is Gravely's going to get on top of him and absolutely ragdoll this man.
Yeah.
He'll get multiple takedowns. His ground and pound's going to look good. And in a decision, he could lose the third round, but he will have dominated rounds 1 and 2 before we get there.
One of Gravely's wins on DraftKings, a decision win. He scored 110 in a decision win.
Because the guy is just all activity.
Because of the takedowns and the activity.
So I'm loading up Gravely all day on DraftKings. We're betting him.
And very similar to kind of some of the points we just touched on, whether it was Buckley, who was 9,300, or back to Blanchardfield at 9,400. This is the guy you want in the 9,000. He's
Absolutely.
9,200. He's cheaper than both of them, and this is a guy who, whether he gets a decision, whether he gets the finish, probably outscores both of those guys. And I'm probably even more confident that he wins than the other two, straight up.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, we love anytime you get a dominant wrestler against a guy that lacks a ground game.
They score.
They score, man. So, yep, load up Gravely.
Yep, and it's probably our bet of the night, too.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next fight.
This one, there's not much to say here.
Biggest favorite here.
Biggest favorite on the card. We got Sarukian versus Giagos.
So, yeah. Arman Sarukian's a minus 800 to Giagos' plus 525. It's a tough one. So, very similarly to the Montel Jackson fight, I'm going to go out and say I don't agree with the odds. I think this is too steep. Sarukian's a great fighter, and he's going to win this fight. So I'm picking, let me put that out there. He's going to win, and he's going to win by decision. But Giagos is not a bad fighter. He's well-rounded. He's a veteran. He's kind of like a brawler standing with underrated, nice grappling, actually. Strong, physical, athletic guy. Don't hate him in this fight in general. I just think he's just outmatched everywhere. He's not the better grappler. He's not the better striker. He's not the more explosive athlete. He's not the bigger athlete. So all these factors, I do take Arman to win this fight and probably win it comfortably. I don't necessarily see a finish. I see a decision. Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to be a closer decision than people think. Not that it's actually going to be in question. But I don't know. I don't know if I can lay, even in a parlay, I don't know if I'm putting a bet on a minus 800 that I think is going to be in a competitive fight where he's going to be better and win a decision. So I'm not personally betting him. I'm definitely not paying what do we got on DraftKings? It's 9,600.
No.
He's not my guy, even in his dominant wins, because he's been pretty dominant in the UFC. And he scored 86, 82. In his last fight for Vola, he did score 126, so I'll give him in a decision he scored that. But he got 10 takedowns in that fight.
Yeah.
I don't expect him to get 10 takedowns in this fight. So if you can afford him, I will be playing some of him. But if I can only afford one guy or even two guys in the top, I'd rather go with Jackson or Gravely there. And, he's got a lot of hype. And it's justified from a technical skill set standpoint. I mean, this is a guy who fought Islam Makhachev to a very competitive fight in his first UFC fight. Honestly, other than Islam Makhachev being kind of flash KO'd by Adriano Martins, this was his hardest fight in the whole UFC. Mm-hmm. And the craziest things that took place in the grappling area, which is even more impressive to show he's the real deal. There was legitimate scrambles. This is the first guy I've seen get on top of Makhachev, actually sweep him and get on top. Ultimately, Makhachev was a little bit too much and was just one step ahead. But it was an extremely competitive grappling match. It shows the level that he's on the ground. He just doesn't have that killer instinct for me. So I expect him to comfortably win this fight. But I think Giagos is going to give him some moments. It's going to be closer than some people think. Excited to watch the fight. Excited about him as a prospect. Just think it's a little bit steep to pay that price.
Yeah, this fight's got decision written all over it. Either way, Ian Giagos pulls this fight off and wins some of these grappling exchanges, which I don't see happening. It's a decision in his favor.
Yep.
I'm fading this fight on DraftKings. I think Arman takes it 30-27.
Yeah.
I think he can get on top, and I think he can hold him down. But like I said, there's not much here. I'm not laying that line. I'm not parlaying them, and the odds on fight goes the distance aren't good either. So
no, look, he's gonna win. He is gonna win. I just don't see the value where you're betting that.
9,600 is definitely one to lay off of. Let some other people play him and take that loss.
All right, let's move on to the next fight.
We've got 3 fights left. Hope you guys are still with us here. But we've got Lipski versus Bohm, and this is another stylistic matchup.
It's basically
Lipski's got the best standing advantage here.
And Bohm's got the grappling. Tail as old as time there, grappler versus striker. I'm not going to dig too much into this one. And the reason is, look, this fight could play out a couple different ways. I'm not super impressed by either one of them, especially not Lipski personally, even though she does have when it's standing, she has shown some power and shown some ability, but generally I'm not impressed with her as a fighter. This one just comes down to I'm not going to overthink the breakdown. 9 out of 10 times, when a grappler fights a striker, the winner is the person that can dictate where the fight goes.
Mm-hmm.
For that reason, I'm picking Bohm as the grappler. I believe she will get Lipski to the ground. I've been completely unimpressed by Lipski's ground game. And even if it takes a little bit longer in the first round when everyone's fresh, when the second and third come around, I believe she's going to get it to the ground. And she's going to dominate enough to get a decision. Don't know enough to say confidently that she's going to get the finish. I'm going to go with Mandy Bohm by decision.
I got Mandy Bohm by decision as well. Lipski's got nothing to offer as far as takedown defense. She's not going to find it before this fight.
No.
She's going to land some big shots. She might give you some scary moments. I don't think she has put-you-out power. And Bohm's going to get her to the ground and just win a boring fight here. I'm kind of upset it's this far up the card.
It is surprising. And
but, look, as far as DraftKings goes, Bohm could definitely score with the takedowns, but I don't see her getting the finish either. So
let's talk DraftKings. 8,000 to 8,200. Bohm is the underdog. I'll play a little bit. Just at the fact that you can get a person that's a winner at 8,000. But yeah, again, not real confident in this. From a betting standpoint, it all comes down to the confidence. She's a plus 106 to a minus 120. Mandy Bohm, you can get as an underdog. I just can't confidently say that she's going to win. It's harder to find some tape in general. Haven't seen enough of her. So I'm going to lay off the fight. If you agree with me, though, felt more confident about the tape you've been able to watch on her, not a bad value at plus 110. I do think she's going to win. But, yeah, that's all I got to say about that fight.
Yep. All right.
All right, on to the co-main. Excited about this one. We got Ion Cutabella versus Devin Clark, and we are in the light heavyweight division. We got, basically guaranteed violence here. The odds you got here, we got minus 150 for Cutabella, and you get plus 125 for Clark. Quick breakdown, Clark's an interesting guy. He's and I'm not trying to be disrespectful towards his skill set, but I feel like he's your basic wrestler that has just not adapted at all throughout his MMA and UFC career. He is still a basic grappler. He's a wrestler. He tries to get takedowns. His striking's pretty ugly and, not the most technical striking. He's a decent athlete. But even when he gets the takedown, he's not working submissions.
No,
He's not even working ground and pound. He's just holding you there. And it's kind of disappointing to see that his game has not grown to be a submission threat, to be a better boxer, any of these things. It really is just a simplistic kind of double leg takedown and try to hold you there. And he might get the takedown on Cutabella. Cutabella just has so many more ways to win this fight. Cutabella's a pretty damn good wrestler himself, good grappler. When he gets on top of people, he lays out punishment. He's a powerful striker. He's an aggressive-ass dude. I'm sure we've all seen him dress as the Hulk in his weigh-ins and, goes crazy. But I like Cutabella in this fight. I think he's going to get the KO. I'm even going to go round one. Devin Clark's been finished in almost every one. I believe he's been finished in every one of his UFC losses. I could be wrong on that, but I'll have to double-check. His chin is very vulnerable to me. I could see him getting subbed also. He's been subbed multiple times on the ground. So I like Cutabella. I think these odds are a little wrong. People are low on Cutabella because basically his last 3 fights have not gone his way. He's gotten knocked out twice by the same guy, who's Angelov, who's one of the best prospects at light heavyweight, an absolute savage. There's nothing wrong with losing to him, and he unfortunately had to face him and get KO'd by him twice, basically, because of a little bit of a technical early stoppage in the first one. And then he had a majority draw against Jacoby, who Jacoby's looked pretty damn good in his last UFC fights. He's a great kickboxer. And the reason that was a draw is because Cutabella completely gassed himself, basically dominating, punching Jacoby in the head in round 1, getting a 10-8 round, then kind of losing a slow round 2 and 3. I don't hold that much against him. I still think he's a superior fighter than Clark. There has been a little bit of gas tank concern. I get that. but I think it was because he was so close to getting the finish. If Cutabella gets Clark in that position, he will get the finish, so I'm not worried about the gas tank.
Yeah, I'm going to even have a harsher review here on Clark than you did. Clark sucks. Clark is dog shit. He got subbed by the two guys fighting in the main event, and he didn't even put up a fight.
Yep.
Look, he's got heavy right hand that he leans on. He likes to throw it off his back foot, though. He's a wrestler who's only okay if he's on top. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, he's completely out of the water if he gets taken down. Look, the Hulk is going to absolutely get on this man. Okay? He is the better wrestler.
Yep.
He's the more aggressive fighter. He's got the better hands. And he's a dog. Clark crumbles under pressure. This guy's going to get on top of him and throw down heavy elbows in his ground and pound. He could sub him. I got him by round 1 KO. Minus 150 is an absolute disrespect to Cutabella. Look, the Jacoby fight had 8 takedowns in the first round, and he absolutely unloaded his gas tank because he thought he was going to get the finish. So dominant, he got a 10-8 in that round, ends up with the draw. He got a little... And Jacoby won the final 2 rounds, but he didn't just take over that fight either.
No, it was close.
2 close rounds.
Yes.
They both went to Jacoby. Look, and the 2 Onkolov knockouts, the first one was not an early stoppage. He can complain all he wants. That man was wobbling on his feet when they stopped that thing. It was over. But they gave him another shot. He got knocked out again. That's just a great opponent. Clark's not anywhere near those guys' level.
No.
This is a massacre to me. I'm loading it up on DraftKings, and it'll probably be my heaviest bet of the night.
Yeah, him and Gravely are our 2 biggest bets. We think, just from a value standpoint, again, Cutabella here for me should be a minus 250 probably instead of a minus 150. We're going to pound it. DraftKings, you can get about 9,000. So, again, another guy that I would prefer to play in the 9,000 range than some of the other guys, especially like a Buckley, for example. Yeah. Much more confidence in Cutabella. A, to win the fight. B, to finish the fight.
And to score. And he scores.
Yes, exactly. Cutabella scores a shitload because he's getting the takedowns and he's getting the finishes. So he's scored over 100 several times in his wins. So I like Cutabella, and we're recommending him for DraftKings and our straight bet of the night as well.
Yep.
On to the main event. Anthony Smith versus Ryan Spann. I've gone back and forth quite a few times on this one. Let's start with the odds. You got Smith minus 170, Spann at a plus 145. DraftKings, pretty big difference. You get Anthony Smith, you got to pay 9,100. Spann, you can get at 7,100. This is a tough one for me. This is... First off, it's a really close fight. It's a coin flip. I've gone back and forth on this. I'm not recommending a bet because I think it's a 50-50 fight. I don't think anyone who's super confident in this fight, I don't know. I think they're reaching. There's a lot of paths to victory here. Straight pick. I'm going to have to go Anthony Smith. And this is after going back and forth. I think Spann could easily knock him out. I think Spann could easily just overpower him. We've seen Anthony Smith be bullied by people. Also, we've definitely, not that Anthony Smith's not improving, but he's been around. He's at his peak skill level. Spann's a guy that I feel like is still improving, brings a lot to the table. I have a super strong argument. I'm almost convincing myself again to pick Spann. Something just tells me we're going to get the Anthony Smith that is he's just a gamer, man. I'm thinking of, his fights where he just looks like he's in trouble, he's hanging around, he's a dog, and he gets the submission. He turns his fight in his odds. He has great cardio. We're talking about a 5-round fight. He has great fucking heart, even in fights he didn't come back in, like the Glover Teixeira fight, took an absolute beating. Something just tells me Anthony Smith is going to use his veteran savvy to hang there, not get finished, turn the fight in his favor, either get a sub or get a late TKO. I'm picking Smith straight up. From a DraftKings standpoint, though, I'm definitely going to have to recommend more of a play on Spann.
Yep.
It's a 50-50 fight. In some ways, you could argue that Spann should be a favorite here. And I'm not paying 9,100 for Anthony Smith. Spann can get at 7,100. It is a must-play fight. because I think there will be a finish and there will just be lots of action. We're talking about a 5-round main event. So I'm going to be playing a lot of both of them, but even with Anthony Smith as my pick, I might be playing more Spann in my lineups due to the value proposition of getting a 7,100 fighter. You can do so much more with your lineup. That's my kind of take on the fight there.
Yeah, so I'm going Ryan Spann here, and I want to look at a couple of his fights. And look, he hasn't had the greatest of competition leading up here in this last run. Okay, he subs Devin Clark, who I already told you sucks.
Yep.
He gets the decision over Alvey, who Alvey almost comes back and finishes him in the third.
Yeah, I think it was a split decision.
Split decision. Spann gassed. That was only a 3-round fight. And, yeah, he escapes by Alvey. Okay, then he loses to Johnny Walker. And, look, if you didn't watch this fight,
It was a great fight.
Crazy fight.
Yeah, he probably should have won that fight.
He had Walker finished twice.
Then got some elbows to
Then absolutely got caught with a brutal elbow to the temple and went out cold.
Exactly.
Insane fight. I thought he should have won it. I'm not holding that loss against him. It wasn't a chin issue. I mean, he got caught as clean as you can get caught with an elbow.
Yeah, they were trading. It was
a good fight.
I mean, the only thing you hold negative was he maybe went a little too hard for the finish against a crazy guy. But other than that, he looked good in that fight.
Comes back with a knockout in the first round.
Against, by far, his best win against Surkanov.
Yeah.
Surkanov's good. He's a skilled grappler, skilled striker. I did not pick him to win that fight. I was impressed with his KO there. See, all of his other fights, like we just went over, I see his raw skill, but he doesn't have any big name wins. He hasn't beaten anyone that he probably shouldn't have already beaten. And that was a fight where I said, okay, I'm going to give this guy a little more credit. That was a fight I did not think he was going to win that he won.
Yeah, I'd say he's the underdog here, and I think it's because of the way he goes about fighting, where he just looks like he doesn't care. Even in the Clark fight, 6 or 7 minutes passed where this guy did absolutely nothing. But when he decides to turn it on, the guy is absolutely explosive.
Yep.
Anthony Smith, on the other hand, blew up a bunch of my cards the last time he fought.
Yeah.
I was all on Crute. And Smith ends up catching the nerve in his knee, and Crute can't even walk anymore.
Yep.
Good fight. Also, Anthony Smith's jab in that fight looked spectacular before the knee injury.
Yep.
He's coming off a sub against Clark. The story is old as time. He had 2 losses before that. I do think he's making a resurgence in his career. I think this is the chance for Ryan Spann to really catapult himself into the conversation. I got Spann winning this fight. I don't recommend betting it, but I will be about 80-20 on DraftKings Spann over Smith. 7,100, you could absolutely build a monster lineup around this guy. There's going to be action. There's going to be violence. Smith's not going to go down easy. It's a dogfight. Like I said, I wouldn't bet this fight, but just because of the price difference, I'm going Spann on DraftKings, and I'll pick him straight up.
Yeah, obviously I've already agreed on that part. I'm going to put on the record that I'm not going that heavy because I am picking Smith straight up. I will probably go 55-45 Spann over Smith on DraftKings because the value maybe 60-40. Not going to go quite 80-20 from an exposure standpoint personally, but if you think Spann's going to win straight up, then that makes a lot of sense.
All right, guys. Looking forward to tomorrow's card. We'll be here on Tuesday kind of with a little recap for you guys, but good luck.
Yeah, and quick recap, just biggest picks, bets straight up are going to be Gravely and Cutabella.
On DraftKings and straight up. Those are the bets of the night. There's some value in some other places we talked about, but if you just want to load up a 2-person parlay or bet them both straight up, those are the guys we're rolling with.
Exactly.